Welcome into the CHGO White Sox post-game show, coming to you live from Studio A of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
You can follow him at Ecknerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. You can follow this show at CHGO_White Sox, and we will be later joined in the show from Guaranteed Rate Field by our CHGO White Sox beat writer, Vinnie Duber. You can follow him at Vinnie Duber. We're being produced today by Sarah.
Hello.
Hello. And our guy Luke is currently watching the Indy 500 and Coke 600. Yeehaw. At the same time. Racing.
Boogity, boogity, boogity.
But he's going to be watching later. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Luke's going to be out there tomorrow.
He's going to be out there tomorrow.
Let's go.
And for our takeover, our first of the year.
First
Sean.
takeover of the year, May 27th. That's tomorrow, folks. 1:10. Going to be a lot better weather, hopefully, knock on wood, seems like it,
yes,
tomorrow than today. Hopefully not a 90-minute rain delay like today, but still, pretty quick game today. We're done by 5:30 and starting the show before, 2 minutes before. But tomorrow, as the Sox take on the Toronto Blue Jays and start that 3-game series, we will be out there on Memorial Day at 1:10 p.m. There are still tickets available. You can go check that out at allchgo.com/events, or you could check out the link in the description. I believe we have a very few left. I think I don't even want to put a number on it because I don't even know if I'm right, but we have very few left. So if you are waiting or are you looking for something to do tomorrow on your day off, come hang out with us at the Takeover. Should be fun. I have a sign, Herb.
You do?
Mm-hmm. Not going to tell people. Gotta wait and see. You'll see us meet up at Turtles, 11:30? 11:30. 11:30, we're going to meet up at Turtles on 33rd Street. So come and see my sign. Come and hang out with us. It should be a blast. We've had a ton of fun. We've done some at Wrigley. We've done some at Guaranteed Rate Field. Very excited because last time we were at the G-Rate for a takeover, it was like 95 degrees. I wore jeans. That was a horrible idea. And it was super packed, and we were in the 500 level. So now it will be at the 100 level. It should be fairly packed. We should have a good size, stadium tomorrow.
65 degrees, I think, tomorrow at first pitch, too. So it's temperate, nice, perfect for me. 65 is the perfect day. A Chamber of Commerce day, as Ed Farmer used to say. So, yeah, come on out. Don't wear pants like Sean. You can wear shorts.
No, pants should be fine tomorrow.
We'll be out in the sun. Like, I think 147 will be in the sun for the majority of the game, if I recall correctly, as far as the shadows go for Guaranteed Rate Field. So, come on out. We're going to have a great time. And if you are in the area, have tickets for this game, come say what's up. We're in section 147.
Say what's up. We'll probably walk around the ballpark too. Maybe we'll see how fast Herb can throw on the speed pitch. It should be a good time. Also,
won't be
tomorrow
fun.
you could probably wear pants tomorrow.
Probably.
This is gonna be cloudy, so I mean, hey, maybe you could wear pants. You're not gonna do the speed pitch.
I mean, I'll do it just to show you how slow my pitch is. No, yeah, come on. I'm guaranteeing under 55 miles per hour on my pitch.
55 still isn't bad.
I could do 62.
There's no way.
Maybe. I don't know. When I went to the game on Friday using Game Time, and they didn't have that open. It was closed.
What?
Yeah, I wanted to do it.
That's crap.
Yeah. So I'm hoping tomorrow with like the holiday and everything, they'll open it up.
Did we introduce Sarah?
No, we didn't.
We're being produced today by Sarah.
No, you said hi.
Oh, we did?
Yeah.
All right, well, double hi to Sarah. Hit that thumbs up button, and hopefully tomorrow the speed pitch is open for her. As White Sox Tom says in the comments, make sure you're hitting the thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribing, and let us know your thoughts about the Chicago White Sox. At least we didn't get no hit today. White Sox got vacuumed. They're currently the losers of 5 straight. They started this 39-game stretch on last Friday. What was that? Let me get the exact date. The 17th. They're 1-9 in the first 10 of that 39. And thank God for Dan Mendick, and thank God for Kyle Bradish's sprained UCL, because he was taken out at 103 pitches, and Danny Mendick subbed in off the bench, gives them their first hit, gives them their first run. Sox lose 4-1.
Only hit.
And they had some base runners. They walked. The classic White Sox, just loading up the bases via the walk.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, I don't know what Bradish will grade out, But, of course, he was probably pretty filthy today. He had, I think, 10 strikeouts today. Was pretty filthy. But it's also the White Sox. So you don't know how good the pitcher was going against the White Sox batters today. But he looked pretty tough. But if we're at the judge which pitcher actually had the better of the 2 days as opposed to who you're going against, I think it was Garrett Crochet.
Well, let's read these because
yeah.
one guy had a no-hitter and threw a shutout.
Yeah, but I'm saying the competition was different. Like if Garrett Crochet was going against the White Sox, he's throwing a no-hitter today.
That's fair. Sarah, if you could pop those back up, as Herb's saying, I mean, I guess Bradish did go longer, one more inning, 7 innings for Bradish, 6 for Crochet, 2 earned runs for Crochet, none for Bradish. Crochet had 3 hits allowed. Bradish, again, had none. 11 Ks for both of them. It was the last time both starters had 11 plus Ks. And then walks, Crochet had 1, Bradish had 4. So you're saying you'd rather, you'd rather have Crochet, but you think, what, Crochet is the better pitcher?
The better day, I think, overall, and I know that he gave up that home run to Adley Rutschman, but where's our Adley Rutschman in the White Sox lineup? You know, like, it's a tough guy. Like, he was tough on Garrett Crochet the whole game. I looked and cataloged all the strikeouts that Garrett Crochet had, and most of them were under 5 pitches to execute him. He was just so filthy today, locating the pitches exactly where he needed to locate them. And if he was going against that White Sox team, he wouldn't have the 1 walk that he did have, and then he would also been striking out much more than 11 that he eventually had with the Baltimore Orioles. Because the Baltimore Orioles, I don't know if you guys know, have a potent offense, a very potent offense. And it's tough to go your 3rd time around and try to get Adley Rutschman again, because he, I think, was the only starter that didn't strike out today. It might have been him and then one other guy, but Garrett Crochet was mowing these people down, but Adley Rutschman is that professional type hitter. Like, you got to go through Gunnar Henderson. You got to go through Adley Rutschman. You got to go through Anthony Santander. Then Hayes, who's having a bad year. Like, these people are causing you tough at-bats and mental fatigue throughout the game. And for Garrett Crochet to go through this lineup as he did with only giving up that home run to Adley Rutschman, that's commendable.
Yeah, and Mateo and McCann weren't the ones that did not strike out. But, I mean, that's the thing, too. This Orioles lineup is very dangerous, and that's the biggest thing with Crochet being a lefty is he immediately neutralizes Henderson right there, and he immediately neutralizes Cowser. I know he's their 9th hitter, but for the White Sox, Cowser's what, their 3rd hitter? Or maybe their 2nd hitter?
2, yes.
So really the most difficult at-bats are probably Rutschman and Mountcastle. He handled Mountcastle fairly well. I know he had a double, but that barely sneaked inside that right field line for a double. I thought this was a phenomenal day for him. He's only the 5th pitcher this year as a starter against the Orioles to have a 37.5 whiff rate or higher. You could bring that down to 35%, and he's still the only 5 pitchers who have had that high of a whiff rate. He had the 2nd most straight-up whiffs against the Orioles as a starting pitcher as well. Jared Jones had 37.5 whiff rate. Freddie Peralta had over a 37.5 whiff rate. Reed Detmers had over a 37.5 whiff rate. Cutter Crawford also had over a 37.5 whiff rate. But Jared Jones had 21 whiffs against the Orioles. Crochet slots in at 18 whiffs. Freddie Peralta and Detmers were at 17. So he had one of the better days a starter has had against the Orioles. And I think the biggest thing for Crochet, I mean, it's a horrible pitch to throw. He went out to Rutschman. He went out. Corey Lee went out to talk to him before that at bat. He missed the first pitch, and I think that really just set everything up. If he could have located that changeup, I think that at bat would have looked a lot different, and maybe throwing a fastball right down the middle wouldn't hurt as much. But it seemed like Adley knew it was coming, and Garrett threw it right down the pipe. So horrible pitch there, but the other 90 were pretty damn good.
Oh, really good. Like, in that inning, he looked filthy. The slider he threw to Colton Cowser to strike him out on 5 pitches was filthy. Absolutely froze Colton Cowser. He couldn't do anything about it. And then he gave up a home run to Rutschman, of course. And then in that same inning, we've seen Gunnar Henderson do exactly what Gunnar Henderson's done his whole pretty much career. Rookie of the Year last year, looking to be the MVP this year. And he made Gunnar Henderson look silly on 3 straight pitches in that same inning that he gave up a home run. That's how good the man is. He has just been filthy this year, and going up at that lineup and only giving up 2 runs in 6+, mercy. Like, that is just a ridiculous outing by Garrett Crochet, and I know he'll get the L, and people will say that Bradish will be the headline guy. But like I said, though, going against Baltimore and doing that, is more impressive than what Bradish did against the White Sox, because as somebody points out, as B Chicago points out, Bradish going against a bunch of guys hitting under 220.
Yeah, hit that thumbs up button. We do have video from Pedro Grifol in the locker room, and Vinny said, quote, Pedro pissed F-bombs, so end quote. I see Sarah's hard at work getting that ready. So we will be talking about Pedro Grifol's post-game reaction, and we'll be having that post-game reaction for you. Herb, just sit on it. I understand. We'll get to it. We'll let people actually hear the quote first. Let's talk about Crochet so we can actually take some time. Why?
I just know why he's pissed, but go ahead.
Because he's a fucking weirdo. Who cares? I mean, again, like, there's a man making up acronyms. There's a 40-plus-year-old. He's got 2 kids, and you're 50 years old making up fucking acronyms for, professionals. Sorry for the F-bomb, but Pedro Grifol is going to flash them. Sarah, I know you're hard at work at the thing. Oh, take your time. Can you flash some of the graphics? We'll get through this Crochet graphics, and then we'll just play the Pedro thing. So let's see his stuff first, that one graphic that TJ Stats puts out. You can follow him at TJ Stats. I think the biggest thing that you need to look at here is the cutter being up with TJ Stuff Plus. That's at a 110. The slider was great at 105. This is probably his worst outing Stuff Plus-wise for his fastball, which is always concerning, but 104 is still workable. I think the worst start that he had was around 105. So as long as it's like around that 104, that's decent. The velocity is up 0.2 miles per hour, and he's getting close to the most pitches he's ever thrown in a season. The most he's ever thrown is 65. I believe he's now at like 64 2/3, so he's basically at the most pitches he's ever thrown in a season. Steve Stone talked about his arm health being what's most important, and I think the fact that he's just sitting 97 through 6 innings and 90 pitches is probably the best thing for him. There weren't any significant drops in his stuff, so the biggest thing for Crochet, 24 straight scoreless innings. This guy's an ace. I mean, I know we weren't really sure on him being a starter before spring training, and now I think we can absolutely say he's an ace. The big hook is our big ace, or big unit.
I mean, undeniably. Like, I was skeptical, still kind of skeptical on his, startability for the whole year, but we're in the middle of May now. Like, I don't understand, like, how he keeps on doing it. He was down, I think, 3-0 to a batter, and then he's like, you know what? I'm going to gear down and throw a 98-mile-per-hour fastball because I need to get this ball right over the plate. Like, that is what his gearing down is, a filthy 98-mile-per-hour fastball on the inside part of the plate. So I think the guy just has so much more to give. He only had 91 pitches, and this is one of the things I talked about, him progressing from that 5-inning guy who's getting a bunch of strikeouts or getting into the 6th inning but not be able to get out of it. But now he's only 91 pitches in the 11 strikeouts that he had today. As I said, like, he was striking people out early. 4 pitches, 3 pitches, 5 pitches, 3 pitches, 6 pitches. Never went over 6 pitches for a strikeout. Just out there, just battling. It's like, here it is, guys. Hit it if you can. And the only guy that did, really, I mean, you got the Mountcastle double that was, late hit, and he just survived it. And then you get the rocket home run by Adley Rutschman. If you give up home runs to Adley Rutschman, that's nothing to be ashamed about. It was a fastball down the middle. Adley was ready for it, and Garrett's like, hit it, and he did. That was it.
And we saw
I like it.
We saw Adley Rutschman's power last year when Luis Robert Jr. took him on in the home run derby. All right, we are at the 15-minute mark or close to it. Let's take a break, and then we'll have Pedro Grifol's reaction from today's loss for you, where he described the team as, quote, fucking flat. Want to let you know, though, about our friends over at IL Pork Producers. Herb, when I wake up every morning and I have that hard-boiled egg and I have that slice of toast, and you know what? I take a clove of garlic and I grate it against the toast.
Oh, look at
so
fancy.
it kind of gives that garlic flavor, and so you get little shreds of garlic on there. I recommend you try it. Put some Kerrygold Irish butter on there.
I got that at the house too.
I was gonna do an Irish accent, but I shouldn't.
You're Irish. You could do it.
Yeah, I could, but I don't
can't.
need to. And then, of course, made from our Illinois pork producers, 2 slices of that lovely bacon. It's grill season, so get your pork on. People who are active need more protein than an average American. And in fact, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics and Dietitians of Canada and the American College of Sports Medicine recommend 1.2 to 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day for athletes. Depending on your training, for a 150-pound person, that's about 81 to 136 grams of protein per day. And you can get that with high-quality pork produced by Illinoisans like you. Elevate your protein game with lean pork, a powerhouse of natural goodness. Savor the flavor, savor the gains, and celebrate any occasion by enjoying the best pork produced by Illinois pig farmers. From your sausage and bacon for breakfast to pulled pork and juicy chops hot off the grill, it's an entire season dedicated to pork and the people behind the product. Paid for by Illinois pork producers, generations of commitment. We also want to let you know about our friends over at Sunnyside. Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. It's a one-stop shop for all your cannabis needs. Sunnyside has an expertly curated menu with over 100 strains to choose from. You got your sativas, you got your hybrids, you got your indicas, plus easy online ordering and in-store pickup. They have you covered all across this beautiful state with locations in the city like Wrigleyville and River North to the suburbs like Champaign, South Beloit, and more. I recommend the High Supply strains and the High Supply brand. I really appreciate them. I think it's a really good brand. I think it's a good bang for your buck. And you can get 35% off brands using the code HICHGO. That's HICHGO by heading over to sunnyside.shop. HICHGO at checkout for 35% off brands like Cresco, Good News, and more to elevate your first purchase. Head over to our friends at Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois MedCard holders. All right, let's go to Pedro Grifol and him calling his team effing flat.
I don't have much. Crochet pitched his ass off. We got no hit through 8. We had a pinch hitter break it up. The rest of the guys, not the rest of the guys, most of the guys were fucking flat today. Unacceptable. That's all I got.
When you say flat?
Flat. Period. Major league game. Got to respect it. Pretty simple.
How do you and the coaching staff treat the guys after that?
I'm not going to talk about that.
Why does that happen?
I'm not going to talk about it.
What differentiates what you saw today in the at-bats compared to other games where the offense has struggled? Sets you apart today.
With the at-bats?
What do you see about the at-bats?
No adjustments. We didn't make any adjustments to this guy.
What do you do tomorrow to prevent that from
You
happening?
got to come back ready to play.
Did you say he was a good pitcher today? Was he tough out there?
I mean, he was good. He hit his spots, and he mixed it up pretty good. But we still got to make adjustments to it. I'm pretty good, guys. I'm good. Thanks.
That was Pedro Grifol. He's good. His team was fucking flat, and they weren't. Herb, you got some thoughts?
Just as I think James Fegan asked, what's the difference between the at-bats today and any other day that they play? Like, I didn't see anything today that was egregious. I didn't see anything that was, oh, man, these White Sox look extra flat today. No, they look like they look every single day. And so getting mad to me after you get swept four games and, the 8th time this year seems a little outdone. It's done over too much. He is mad at his players and then doesn't give any explanation of why they are flat. Just nebulous answers afterwards. And
I mean, he did say they didn't make any adjustments. So, I mean, it's I think at least saying we had the right game plan. Those guys just didn't lock in and didn't prepare for the game. I guess it's him saying, it's not on Marcus Thames or anything like that. I guess he wasn't upset with the game plan. It's just more on the guys going out there, not executing from at bat to at bat, right? Yeah. I mean, you see the buildup. You see a guy 3 times, and it seems like the way that they saw him on the 3rd time were the same way they were attacking him the first time. Like, is that a fair enough explanation for you? Do you want more?
I want more. Like, if you're going to come out on fire and throw your team under the bus and say they're flat, give me something. Like, that is fine. That's what your explanation is good. But B Chicago points it out. Isn't it his job to make sure they don't come out flat? Yes, that's his job, to make sure that the lineup and you put them in the best situation possible. If you see some of them are flat, you take some of them out. You make sure that you have the best available people out there that are not going to be flat. And the reason you got one hit is because they changed the pitcher from a lefty to a right, or from righty to a lefty. And of course, Danny Mindick is going to crush that fastball right down the middle. But if you're going to be this, be this. I guarantee he ain't going to have the same energy in the clubhouse. Like, he ain't going to say that stuff to Tommy Pham. Tommy Pham, like, what?
Well, I mean, he did.
I was flat? I was flat?
To be fair, he did. He said it, and then he was like, well, not all of them.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he meant Tommy
I guarantee in that clubhouse he ain't saying that same thing. Don't come out and light the world on fire and be mad. I think he's feigning anger. I know he's not happy that they lost, but what's different from today than the other 7 times you got shut out, or the other 7 times you got swept, or other times that you got shut out? Like, today was a good pitcher. Kyle Bradish is a good pitcher. It wasn't like you're facing the 5th starter on the Orioles and you get nothing. That's one of the best pitchers on the Orioles, if not the best starter. So I don't understand what's going on.
Well, and two, I mean, like, I'm going to leave Pham and Lee out of this, but Vaughn's hitting under 200. Sheets was great and a surprise to start off the season, but for a long time, again, he had no value. Corey Julks was pretty close to being DFA'd by the Astros, and the White Sox traded him something for him. Ramos is a rookie. He went 0 for 3 today with 3 strikeouts. Lopez is horrendous. It was swinging, and he ended up being pinched hit. Sorry,
walk,
I know that's your guy, Sarah. Remillard is not even a quad A guy. He's just a triple A to a double A guy. And Dominic Fletcher isn't getting consistent at bats. I mean, like, this is a horrendous lineup.
It is.
It's and two, and White Sox Tom said Pham would have punched him, which probably true. But be Chicago's point of, isn't it his job to make sure they don't come out flat? Absolutely. And this is the same guy that during his press conference introduction said, we're going to prepare every day to kick your ass. And this is a guy that is well on his way to 200 career losses before he even gets to 100 wins. Pedro Grifol's teams consistently look flat. They consistently look like this. And you're right. What difference does this look? Doesn't look that much difference. Kyle Bradish wasn't, getting them to whiff a ton. He wasn't like loading up a ton on called strikes plus whiff. He was a little above the major league average, but probably makes sense. It tracks with him throwing a no-hitter. But like, this isn't anything different that we've seen over the past 2 years. So maybe maybe Vinny will be able to provide a little bit more context, but I'm with you. I mean, you've had 4 4-game series this year, and you've been vacuumed / mopped / swept in 3 of them. The only one where you haven't, you went 3-1 against the Guardians earlier this May. But this is a team that's consistently horrible, and a team that, again, over the past 10 games, is 1-9 against real competition. Yes, they started off fairly all right with Tommy Pham in the lineup and went about 500, a little over 500 in those first 19 games with Pham. But I mean, overall, the White Sox under Pedro Grifol have consistently been flat.
Yeah, and as you pointed out, when they started the 39-game gauntlet, stepping up in class. Like, I know the Guardians have a pretty good record, and the rest of the Central is better than we expected, but when you're playing the Yankees and Toronto, which is not that good, and then you got to play the Baltimore Orioles and other teams, it's going to be a little harder than what you've been facing. And so today, I don't understand. Maybe it's the accumulation of everything that's been happening as of late, and then Pedro just exploded. That's the only reason that I can give. Like, if that is his reason, like, where everything that is coming down on him is just so overwhelming, I can understand the blow up today. But today wasn't necessarily in itself like a different outing than they usually have. So I don't know. I say feigning just for the cameras, just so I'm mad of losing. You've lost more majority, 2/3 of the games that you've played. Doesn't make sense. And this team is much better than you. So what's the mad? What are you angry so for?
Our guy Nick Morawski always posts that Pedro's obsessed with winning. So that's just the obsession coming through. Joining us earlier than he usually does, and we clearly know why, because Pedro Grifol was very brief in his comments. We saw all minute and 7 seconds of it. Is Vinnie Duber, our CHGO White Sox beat writer. You can follow him at Vinnie Duber and read his latest piece posted today up at AllCHGO discussing about Eric Fedde, Tommy Pham, and possibly Eloy Jimenez's trade value. Hi, Vinnie.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Oh, we're good. We're a lot better than Pedro Grifol. Obviously, that was probably surprising to you guys. Why do you think that Pedro Grifol had this reaction at this moment? Because like Herb and I were saying before you joined, this is kind of just the White Sox.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was very specific to today, to be quite honest with you. I know I caught a little bit of what you guys were saying there at the end. I heard the guess that it might be kind of just everything, accumulating here and kind of reaching some sort of breaking point for the manager here. But I really do think it was about today's game. And because if you looked at the last 3 that they played against this Orioles team, last night was kind of, a heartbreaking one with the way the bullpen pitched, I guess similarly the day prior, but they were close against a really good team. I mean, they were taking the game down to the late innings here. Today they just never really did much of anything. Obviously, they had no hits on the board through a number of innings there. It just kind of seems to me like he was very displeased with the effort today. I get the idea that we look and see the same result kind of over and over again over the past couple of years for this White Sox team. But I think he's looking at a little bit more in depth than that, and looking at the effort the guys give and the kind of things that are leading up, or the why behind the result, right? And I think there's a lot of nights when he's pretty happy with the why, and it's just obvious that they don't have the ability to compete with some of these other teams. But what he saw today obviously was not something that pleased him at all, and I think he was calling it out. I mean, if you remember correctly, we heard this a few times from him last year, maybe not this emotionally, but we heard, a critique of effort from time to time, and, the idea that something like that happens over the course of 162 games might not be terribly difficult for some of us to understand, but I guess when it's your job and you're the manager of this team trying to do something positive, if you can't at least get the effort to be good, that's going to maybe make you a little bit more angry than normal. So yeah, this is the most emotional that I can remember him being, the most angry that I can remember him being over, like what you guys said, seems to be a pretty common result, but I think it's less the result that bothered him and more what went into it today.
I just want to follow up with your firsthand experience with Corey's response to what Pedro had to say. I don't know if anyone else besides Corey and Garrett spoke today. Was Corey the only one to give his thoughts on that specific comment?
So Garrett Crochet was asked about it and basically said, we want to keep that in the clubhouse kind of thing, which, as you saw from the Pedro video there, was very similar to what Pedro had to say about not really sharing. Danny Mendick kind of voiced I thought we did good today, just tough luck. We kind of, lost to a good team kind of thing. Corey Lee's comments, at least their content, was a little bit more eye-opening in what he said, and I can read them here for the folks who have no idea what I'm talking about and aren't following along on Twitter. Corey Lee said, quote, "He's going to feel that way, and obviously we're going to have a different feeling. He's entitled to his own opinion, and we are also. I think it's a valid reason. There's nothing to hide about that. He has opinions, and other people are going to have their opinions." That's striking, obviously, from a content perspective. What I kind of read it as, listening to him in the moment, was a little bit more, stepping up and having pride in your craft, I guess you can say, and the idea of saying, well, we're going out to compete every day, kind of defending yourself. That's kind of how I read into it, not necessarily that Corey was pleased with how the team played or anything like that. They didn't have any hits for the majority of the game, but certainly the content is striking, no doubt about that.
And let's get down to something positive. I mean, Garrett Crochet, what did he have to say about, it looked like he was just like, okay, Baltimore, I know you're good, but here's a ball right down the middle. If you can hit it, God bless. Did he feel like he was just invincible today? Because he looked like it until, of course, they had the Rutschman home run.
Yeah, he didn't really have much of anything positive to say after the way that this game went. And I think after we just stepped in there, after this entire team maybe got a talking to from their manager, that kind of didn't lift anyone's spirits or anything like that. But he didn't really have anything to say. Pedro, obviously, as you heard, described Garrett as pitching his ass off, and that was kind of what you could see out there. He was fantastic, and going up against one of the best lineups in baseball, he managed to have one of the better days that he's had in a White Sox uniform. 11 strikeouts against this team, and really the majority of days in Major League Baseball, if you go, 6 innings, only give up 2 runs, strike out 11, you're going to give your team a very good chance to win. And when your team's not hitting at all, quite literally not hitting at all, then a 2-run homer is going to be enough to throw everything out of whack for the game. And so he was not happy that he gave up the runs that decided the game. And, obviously, you understand the competitor's point of view there, but certainly should have nothing but great things to say about the way Crochet pitched today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I got a ton more thoughts on Crochet. I got some questions for you guys about Crochet, maybe the long-term plan with Crochet. But let's take a break, and we'll let you know about some of our great sponsors like Game Time. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which means getting tickets is faster and easier with Game Time. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch, and you'll get killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seats, and their lowest price guarantee. GameWork is taking the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets and making it the easiest choice for you to get into a Major League Baseball game. And the game time guarantee means you will get 110% of the difference. So if you buy a ticket in the same section and row, and then you see on a different marketplace a different price, you can contact Game Time and get 110% of the difference. Herb did that down in the ATL. Wait, they don't like that, do they?
Who cares?
Okay, who cares?
Who cares, ATL?
It's not even in Atlanta, so who cares? He got Herb's difference, 110% of that difference to him in 12 minutes. They have fantastic customer support, along with priority last-minute deals. You could save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, and theater. And you also have flash deals where you could save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or event. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Real quick, it says spell out CHGO.
Yes. I don't know how else you would do that.
That's what I'm just saying. It's an abbreviation.
Yeah.
It's just that's how you say it.
Yeah.
CHGO.
Yeah.
SHGO.
SHGO.
There we go. Use codes SHGO. Or tell them about
And I know tomorrow, Memorial Day, is the unofficial start of summer. And to me, nothing says summer than when we're out at the ballpark tomorrow for our takeover, than drinking a delicious Leinenkugel Summer Shandy.
Stopping by the Liney Lounge.
Oh, we're definitely stopping by the Liney's Lounge and getting us a couple so we can drink a couple down. And I know that you're thinking, Herb, you don't have to sell. You don't have to preach to the choir. I'm already converted. I love Summer Shandy. But what does Leinenkugel have other than Summer Shandy when it's not summertime anymore? And I'm glad you asked that. They have Liney's Original. They have Light Lager, Lakeside Cherry, Juicy Peach, Berry Weiss, Northwoods Amber, Dark Lager, Honey Weiss, etc. And Honey Weiss is made with real Wisconsin honey, so you know that it's good and not real Wisconsin bees. They do the work. They're not in the beer. If you tried any of their beers, you know
that's the bee brew, by the way.
The what?
They have a brew. It's very limited edition, small batch. It's the bee brew, made with bees.
With bees inside it. Mm-hmm. Take the stingers off.
Not made by bees. This one's made with bees.
If you tried any of their beers, you know that Leinenkugel brings the flavor for any occasion that you're celebrating. And for over 150 years, Leinenkugel has combined German brewing traditions with Wisconsin innovation. You don't have to just pick one. Leinenkugel's popular variety packs come in 4 favorites for you to try and enjoy. Flavor life's simple moments with Leinenkugels, the official craft beer of the Chicago White Sox. Go to Liney.com/CHGO to find delivery options near you. That's LEINIE.com/CHGO. They spell it out here. They don't tell you to spell it out here, though.
But you did, because you're a genius.
Yes. Or pick up Leinenkugels pretty much anywhere that they sell beer. Leinenkugels, flavor of the moment. Celebrate responsibly. The Jacob Leinenkugel Brewing Company, Chippewa Falls.
Yes. And we will get into more Garrett Crochet talk in just a second. I do just want to answer the chat real quick. Blank Name said, all will be well. They claimed Sammy Peralta on waivers. Why? That's a great question. We should ask Chris Getz why he can't live without Sammy Peralta. To my knowledge, Vinny, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't even need to spend this much time on Sammy Peralta, but they're claiming him because Seattle's taking him off the 40-man, so that allows them to put him to AAA. Is he on the 40-man? Because I know they had a spot.
He is. Ooh. He's a waiver claim. He's on the 40-man, yes.
Okay. I don't know then. I don't know why. Blank name, to be completely honest with you. Ackminster also says, I think they've recently shown at least the minimum punch needed to somewhat resemble a big league baseball team, heading right back to no-hit territory in Pedro's defense. Seems like a step back. Do we feel like that's fair? I mean, that's the only actual defense I've seen of Pedro, is just because, again, you're getting no-hit through 7 innings. I mean, they were able to get on base. It's not like they were being perfect gamed. I mean, also maybe does Pham's pickoff maybe lead into this, because you're giving away the opportunity to build on and maybe get to a guy that's kicking your butt in Bradish?
I mean, if he wants to go and say that to Tommy Pham, go ahead, brother. But yeah, they did get on base, as Bradish wasn't 100% pinpoint when he gave up 4 walks himself. So yeah, they had some good, decent at-bats, but like I said, it's not like Kyle Bradish is the 4th or 5th starter for the Orioles. Even if he was, the Orioles are pretty damn good. And if he saw something that wasn't to his liking, where he's like, okay, they're not hitting fastballs down the middle, I don't like that, they're coming out flat, cool. But I was watching the game, and, you know, he's much more of a baseball guy than I will ever be. And so he can probably tell when his team is flat and when his team is just bad. And today I just thought they were bad. So maybe you're supposed to be crushing Kyle Bradish or at least getting a hit off him. But like, I think it's an insult to Kyle Bradish to say, oh, that team was flat instead of my stuff was kind of good.
Yeah. I mean, Vinny, any thoughts on that?
I mean, Pedro complimented Bradish. The guys in the clubhouse really complimented Bradish, said he was, pitching really well and had a really good day. There's a lot that could be behind this, but I honestly do think it's a reaction to today specifically. When you are a team that obviously doesn't have what it takes, when you're built to be a team that doesn't have what it takes to compete on a nightly basis or compete for a division title, if we want to go, expand that a little more, but you need at least to be doing some things the right way in order to have confidence in yourself or to know that you're doing your job the way you're supposed to be doing your job. And I think if we've gotten to a point where the number of games they lose doesn't really matter because it's a rebuilding year, so you're not going to measure yourself by the wins and losses. You got to measure yourself by what you're putting in. And I'm guessing that's the way Pedro's feeling, and it can't be. You can't just be like, "Oh, well, we're going to lose, so I might as well not try today." I mean, he talked about it being a major league game that you've got to respect. Danny Mendick made the comment that they've got to remember that it's a nice, what's the word I'm looking for, a privilege or whatever to put on a major league jersey, and they've got to act that way, kind of thing. So. I don't know. Also, though, you got to remember, too, this is a guy who's probably trying to turn that win and loss record around. As much as us on the outside can sit here and be like, we know what's going to happen with this team, they're trying to win the game. And if he doesn't like, the fact that they're, 1-9 in their last 10 or something like that, he's going to try to do something to get things turned around. And maybe he sees this as a way to do that. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I'm speculating. But like I said, we haven't seen this from Pedro very often. You would think it would be a very specific thing to set him into this sort of reaction, not just, hey, we lost again. Today's the day I'm going to randomly pick to get all mad kind of thing. That doesn't seem like him, because he has been described by his players as so even keeled and a guy who is a presence through all this bad losing. He's a positive presence through all of this losing because of the way he acts on a daily basis. If he's going to start acting different and being very not even keeled today, he's obviously going to be doing it for a reason.
And the thing is, like, I hear what you're saying. That makes sense. But he's the one who's sending up Andrew Vaughn to get the second most at bats during the game. He's batting him second. Like, I know that there's supposed to be a better hitter. He's supposed to be a better hitter, but he's not there yet. He's not the guy yet. So how about you giving him fewer at-bats and getting the people who are been on base, like maybe Corey Jokes as of late, to get more at-bats, to have better at-bats, to look a little bit less flat than they did today, because you keep on sending people who can hit up to the plate. Yeah, of course they're going to be bad at executing, getting hits. So I know the actual talent on the team is really bad, but you can't continue to send people who are having bad months and a half up to the plate to get the most at bats or the second most at bats on this team. So yeah, I hear what you're saying, Vinny, and yes, they might have been flat, but his lineups are still questionable.
You can't bat Tommy Pham leadoff and everybody else ninth, Herb. It's not how numbers work.
You can't bat the guy who's hitting 200, under 200, second all the time. Like,
but who's not?
Gavin Sheets is not hitting that.
Okay, so what?
He's batting third.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but the guy, you can't have him there. You can have Corey Lee, who's consistently had good at-bats this year. Ramos, get him more at-bats. Like, Andrew Vaughn has been lost this year. Until he proves that he is not lost, then you can bat him 5 or 6 or 7. I mean, but it's not a meritocracy. It's not a meritocracy. That's not how it works. If you're just going to have the guy, just because he's his 4th year and he's supposed to be good at hitting, up there hitting the second most at times in the game.
I guess. I mean, he had a good weekend. He had at least a good, Friday on Apple TV? Andrew Vaughn loves Apple TV.
That's
a huge fan of Severance. What is that?
And guess who also? Like, the player that hits the Baltimore Orioles the best in his career is the guy who cheered for the Baltimore Orioles when he was growing up. And Gavin Sheets, so give him more at-bats.
Hey, to be fair to Herb, that one at-bat difference, if he just batted second, probably would have won them the game.
It would have been he would have got more at-bats than Andrew Vaughn, though.
Tommy Pham doesn't get picked off first base, and it's a 4-3 game.
Probably.
So I want to talk about Bob Nightingale's note real quick in USA Today. I know you talked to Chris Getz, so maybe he said something about this topic. But we have Bob Nightingale today reporting in USA Today. The Chicago White Sox are resisting all temptation to trade center fielder Luis Robert Jr., who is scheduled to return in June after being sidelined 2 months. Robert may be their best trade asset, but he's only 26 and is under team control through 2027. I am very happy to hear this. I think there's another player that they shouldn't trade that we'll get into in a second. But this team is pretty much in a free fall. I don't know if Chris Getz talked about the expectation for 2025 with how bad 2024 has been.
That is something, at least to me, that came a couple times ago when he spoke, when he talked about no one thought this was going to be a quick fix kind of thing, right? That to me was kind of the first public statement of, hey, this is something that's going to take a long time. And, an acknowledgement of that. I think a lot of people were maybe guessing that would be the case, looking around at the organization and what they have. But that sounded to me like Chris Getz saying, don't expect this to be a quick, well, he said, don't expect it to be a quick fix. And so I think that colors a lot of what we can expect coming up toward the trade deadline, right? I mean, even a guy like Eric Fetty, who is under contract for next year, but he's going to be talked about as a trade piece because I don't think anybody is going to expect the White Sox to turn this around quick enough to utilize Eric Fetty in a playoff push in 2025, right? And maybe that even applies to a guy like Michael Kopech or Garrett Crochet, who have more control than just 2025 past their, on their contracts as well. Maybe we are going to be talking about those guys as just as likely to be dealt this summer as someone like Tommy Pham, or if they can get something for Soroka or Clevenger or whoever by the time we get to July, right? So it seems to me that while Chris Getz is saying there's no untouchables, of course he'd rather not trade Luis Robert Jr. He described him during the winter meetings, if you'll remember, as the kind of player you build around, not the kind of player you trade. But if someone comes a knocking with a blow-you-away offer, I mean, that's what you're out here to do this summer, right? Is to put yourself in the best position for the long term. I don't think that trading Luis Robert Jr. maybe makes you good in 2025, but it might make you good in 2026 and for the years after that, right? So it's not something where I would say expect them to trade Luis Robert Jr. or don't expect them to trade Luis Robert Jr. I just think it's got to be considered by the White Sox front office because you have to do what they say their job is, which is explore every opportunity you can to make the team better. Now, if Luis Robert Jr. is not bringing in any sort of offers that stack up to him as one of the best and most valuable players in baseball, then you keep him, and then you have one of the best and most valuable players in baseball, right? So it all comes down to each one of those individual offers. I don't think a team goes into a trade deadline saying, all right, we're going to trade this guy, and this guy, and we have to do it or it's all wrong. The way that this team is positioned right now is they think they have assets and they're going to wait and see what the offers are. And if their threshold gets met, they'll do it because they're in the position right now where they need to stockpile talent in the minor leagues or at the major league level, but guys who are under control for a very long time.
I've gone back and forth on this on trading Luis Robert Jr., and now I've kind of come to the realization that you have to know oneself. Like, Chris Getz just got the job, but he's been with this organization for a while now. And he knows that even if at year 4 or year 3, the White Sox are climbing and they're coming to the next level where they're actually kind of competing, is there going to be a commitment to spend money to supplement the roster that didn't get fulfilled by the minor leagues? No, we've seen this in the past where when it was time for them to spend extra money or money that was out there, they didn't do it. And so I would be resistant on trading Luis Robert Jr., but then I would look at the 3 years coming forward, 3.5 plus years coming forward. I'm like, are they really going to do anything in the 3.5 years that he's going to be here? If no, then yeah, if what Vinny said, they get the deal that they want and it has to be blown away because of the time left on the contract, the cheapness of the contract, and who the player is, they have to be blown away with the deal return. So yes, I'm not trading him just for shits and giggles, but I'm also a little bit more going for trading Luis Robert Jr. and other pieces on the team because I know that more than likely, if they get better, they're not going to supplement the roster to get it so it can be a competing level with the Cleveland Guardians and the Detroit Tigers and the Minnesota Twins and Kansas City Royals.
Yeah, we've heard the word competitive from the White Sox, and I think putting a window at least on this would be smart for the Sox. And now with his 3.68 ERA, I think a part of that window, if you are kind of set on keeping Luis Robert Jr., like it sounds like the White Sox are per Bob Nightingale, I think you should keep the guy with the 24 scoreless inning streak that he had going before the Adley Rutschman home run. If you want to flash that, over 24 innings before the home run in the 6th inning for Adley Rutschman. Garrett Crochet, this is all basically through the month of May, too. This is all through 5 starts, going from the 5th inning and 6th inning of his start on May 5th all the way to today's 6th inning. 24 innings pitched, 12 hits, 5 walks, 32 strikeouts. I had this thrown out already, I think last time he started, but just to go back to it, this is a proposed / hypothetical extension on my behalf, mocking the Brian Bayo contract extension that recently was signed by the Red Sox and Bayo. Next year, $6 million avoiding arbitration. 2026, $9 million, again, avoiding arbitration. 2027, buying out his first year of free agency at $21 million, having a club option there. And then in 2028, $24 million if the White Sox want to keep him around. I think basically that 2027, though, that guarantees you 3 years of Garrett Crochet, 3 years of hopefully an ace as long as he's healthy, and an ace to go along with Luis Robert Jr. Because if Luis Robert Jr. and Garrett Crochet are playing on the White Sox, or every 5 days for the White Sox for the next 3 years, I have a really good, strong feeling that they're going to win because they're not going to have, Gavin Sheets batting third. They're going to have superstar Luis Robert Jr., who has 38 home runs last year and insane 5 tools, and Garrett Crochet going out there striking out 11. I think if the White Sox are truly committed, this is a player that you should commit to. If you are going to commit to the former first rounder in being a starter, commit. I mean, you don't think he's going to be a starter just for a year or a half a year just to trade him. I think them trading him or even entertaining a trade for Crochet at this point is really stupid, because if he does go out and become this true ace of your staff in 2027, he's going to have so much value, probably even more value than he does now. If a team goes out and trades for him now, I mean, how much realistically does he have left in your arm, right? You are taking on that project of making Garrett Crochet an ace, and we see all the makings of an ace right now. Whether you guys want to address the extension, Vinny, I don't know if you want to address anything with Crochet about his arm and how he's feeling now that he's reaching 65 innings, the most that he's ever thrown in a college or pro season. Where does Crochet's 2024 end at this point? I know that's a question I consistently ask, but I mean, at this point, he looks like he's unstoppable, probably going to win Cy Young, and probably just I'll start making the Hall of Fame plaque at this point.
Is that your money too that you're paying Garrett Crochet in that contract extension?
Yes, I'm paying. I'm just sitting on $60 million. It's a very comfy couch.
And Sean never takes us out to lunch or anything. Unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, listen, the guy looks amazing. He looks incredible. And I know we're only in the 2nd month of the season, and I think that's probably the main thing to remember is that Garrett Crochet didn't sign up to be a starter for 2 months. He signed up to be a starter in Major League Baseball over a 6-month season, and probably in his mind 7, to try and get whatever team he's playing for to the World Series. Now he has looked the part in every possible way so far, but it's a continuing story, right? And I think you ask where this story ends. It's like asking me in the middle of a movie where the movie's going to end up, right? Because we're I mean, seriously, but that's what baseball is it's unwritten, and I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. I can tell you that the White Sox are going to be very mindful of that workload. They're going to try to do things to stretch him as long as they possibly can. But I think the number one thing is what you mentioned, which is he feels great. And until there's a reason for them to think that he can't handle this physically, why would there be any reason for anybody to think that, right? I mean, he's going out there and doing the job that we didn't know he could do, and he's doing it in a way where he feels physically fine. Now, again, he wants to throw 200 innings, I'm sure, every single year. He wants to build to be the kind of person that is going to be that type of pitcher. And maybe he will be. Who knows? But it's going to continue to be a wait-and-see thing from the White Sox standpoint, because they don't want to get to a point where they have to shut him down. They are going to, I don't know. I bet you he gets the Kyle Bradish treatment if he's got a no-hitter going, right? And is out of the game after 7 innings today with over 100 pitches, because you can't leave him in there for that, because you don't know what's going to happen to his arm if he throws 130 pitches. Not only that, it's 30 pitches that you can't use in some September start, right? So I think the idea is that they're going to try to really look at this from a game-by-game standpoint. But the good news for the White Sox, the good news for Garrett Crochet, and the good news for White Sox fans who want to see Garrett Crochet succeed at this is that so far that game-to-game way of handling things has produced nothing but great results, not only from the stat line and what you're seeing Garrett Crochet do in between the lines, but the way he's feeling in those 4 days between those starts.
And I agree with you, Sean. Like, it's probably smart of the White Sox to start thinking about what you're proposing to take out 2 of his free agent years, so you have a little bit of surety with Garrett Crochet. And for Garrett Crochet by himself is like, hey, I've been hurt. I've missed parts of 2 years. And so the pay raise would be great because what is he making this year? Like maybe league minimum?
$800.
Yeah, he's making
$800K.
He's making chump change.
So you're guaranteeing a guy $60 million with 2 Tommy Johns.
Yeah, and so he could be like,
one.
hey, this is generational changing money right here. That'll be great for me to take that deal. And for the White Sox, you get ace for cheaper than you would otherwise. Because we know that if Garrett Crochet keeps on pitching like this, firstly, he'll be traded off this team. Secondly, the White Sox won't re-sign him. So let's take up all his great years that he is going to be pitching and try to have him for an inexpensive price. That $60 million deal is very drop in the bucket. Now, I understand as Garrett Crochet thinking like, hey, man, I'm invincible. The man said that, hey, there's no pitch limits for me. There's no innings limits for me. I'm me. I'm Garrett Crochet. So maybe he feels invincible and he's like, why would I take that? Because I know at the end of this 2.5 years, when I'm a free agent, I'm going to get paid much more than that. So I'll just wait that stuff out. I could see that. But also, the injury risk is always there for a pitcher. I would always tell pitchers, hey, you should sign that extension. For hitters, I would say hold on because it's very rare that a hitter gets a career-ending injury or an injury that's going to take them and derail them for a year and a half.
Yeah, again, like the one thing too with at least like Spencer Strider, he signed a similar extension, and his first year of free agency is $22 million. So I mean, this is a guy too with not that long of a track record. Definitely not Spencer Strider's track record, and I know Strider's obviously down for the season, but like I mean, 21 I think is a pretty accurate marking for where you'd reach in free agency. You can make that club option a mutual option if you really don't want to buy out another year of free agency. You want to get that long extension, but I mean, you're giving a guy $60 million to pitch for you for the next 4 years. I think I'd say yes, but again, I'm not sitting on $60 million, so I'm not 6'7" like Garrett Crochet, so it's a little bit different situations. Let's take a break, and we will take our final break, and then we'll talk a little bit more about Eloy Jimenez, Brian Ramos' future position or lack thereof, I guess, and a little bit more. We want to let you know though about our friends over at Prize Picks. I just submitted a entry. There is a rain delay in the Cubs game, which allowed me to get this entry in. I think 10 strikeouts is a little bit too much for Javier Assad and Sonny Gray, so I'll take less than 10 on those two together. And then, of course, with Game 4 of the NBA Western Conference Finals between Dallas and Minnesota, we have to take a line on the best player in the NBA, the best player in all of basketball. And we've known this for a very long time.
Anthony Edwards?
Nope.
Oh, my bad.
Naz Reid, over more 16.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Go try out the fun at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. They are the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections like I just did and watch the winnings roll in. With baseball season officially underway, there's no better way to cash in on the action than Prize Picks. Add your favorite players from the diamond to your Prize Picks lineup all season long. And my favorite part about Prize Picks is you can get your entry in under 60 seconds. So go download the fun or download the app and try out the fun and use code CHGO for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code CHGO for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Speaking of Naz Reid, he came to Chicago in February with his Minnesota Timberwolves. And you know who else was there, Sean, when the Bulls did an epic comeback versus Minnesota Timberwolves?
Naz Reid. The CHGO Bulls.
Yeah, the CHGO Bulls. And so many people had FOMO the day after. It's like, how do I get to go to CHGO events and takeovers like they did at the United Center? You know what? Tomorrow we're having a takeover at Guaranteed Rate Field. We have limited tickets left. I just talked to Spencer. He said under 4 tickets left. So if you want to not have FOMO, go to allchgo.com right now and go to the events page and click for those tickets for tomorrow's game. We're going to be meeting up at Turtles at 11:30 before the game. Game time is at 1:10. So we're going to have a great time in section 147 tomorrow. So go there right now. And we've had great takeovers all last year and the year before that. But tomorrow we're having our first one at Guaranteed Rate Field. It'll be the White Sox versus the Blue Jays, and we only have the 4 tickets left. So don't miss your next chance to have a great time with our growing community. Become a diehard today, and you can get 20% off of that, the price of the Takeover. You can get 20% off of hats, merch, T-shirts, all the etc. and every event that we have in the future. And you get invited to our Discord, which we have a great time talking about ball, talking about sports, talking about food, talking about fitness, anything you want to talk about in our CHGO Discord. You are invited if you become a diehard. Like I said, you get 20% off merch, access to the Discord, 20% off events, and much more. If you want to hang out with us tomorrow, go to allchgo.com, hit the events page, and hit for the tickets for tomorrow's game. And like I said, don't have FOMO. Go to allchgo.com right now, become a diehard, and meet us out there tomorrow. You get a free T-shirt if you become a diehard too.
Thank you, Herb.
We
Very
will
excited
also be selling merch at the event as well, if anyone's interested.
Selling merch tomorrow too, guys. Let's go.
You can get a shirt. It's I'm wearing the CHGO flag shirt right now. What we got, the Sunday Fun Day one, I think. I
wore that last week.
It's a nice shirt.
Yeah, nice white,
all right,
crisp.
You talked to Eloy Jimenez. How is Eloy feeling? What was the thoughts from the big baby?
Not happy, as you might imagine, but I think it seemed like he's very cognizant about trying to not feel bad, right? He kept saying over and over again, I'm not going to sit here and feel sorry for myself, not going to sit here and feel sorry for myself. Obviously, I think he's asking some of the same questions that a lot of folks are asking, chiefly, why does this keep happening to him? But he wants to work, he wants to get back, he wants to show what he can do. It's much the same attitude he's had all the other times that this has happened to him. And, sadly for him, he's had to, or sadly for him, I'm aware of that, right? Because I've talked to him so many times after something like this has happened. So, he was using some interesting words, talking about how this is, he wants to work to make this, this moment just remembered as a bad dream or a nightmare rather than kind of what his career is stacked up to be. But he said he doesn't want to go anywhere, or he said, he's never thought about going anywhere besides the White Sox. But I think all of us can look around and see what his contract is and know that even when he does come back, if he's unable to be traded because of missing this time, this is probably the last few months we'll see Eloy in a White Sox uniform. That would be my guess, just given how pricey that team option is for next year.
Did he speak to what he might be changing for this not to be happening in the future?
I think he alluded to the fact that is something that they need to figure out. He said that, there's a lot of questions that they don't have answers to right now, and they need to find them, that he needs to find them, right? So obviously this just happened a few days ago, and there's going to be 4 to 6 weeks that he's not with this team. So somewhere in that time frame, he's going to try to find out these answers. But listen, this is not the first time this happened, or this has happened to him, and certainly they haven't found those answers out yet. So we'll see if he comes back and is running different or anything like that. But asked, what he needs to do differently, I think his answer was mostly, "We'll get to that. We don't know right now."
Was he taken aback by how long this injury will last him? Because a hamstring, usually 4 to 6 weeks seems a little extreme to me, but it might be a bigger hamstring tear than he had in the past.
He said he was surprised. He thought it'd be more of a 2-week thing, and they told him that it wasn't, and he was surprised. I can go back to kind of the non-medical terms that Pedro Grifol used the other day in describing it to us, where he said, he beat it up pretty good. So that would indicate to me that it's, like you're saying, it's probably a pretty significant strain.
Fun. I don't know. Is there anything? Did you learn anything fun? Did you have fun at the ballpark? I mean, over these games. I don't think you were there on Saturday, but Friday was a cool game.
I was not there on Friday. I was here the last 2 days and Thursday.
Oh, you were here on Saturday. My bad. Okay.
Yeah.
Was
Saturday?
Saturday fun?
I mean, it's baseball, man. Come on. If you're gonna get all worried about the result, then you're not having fun. Then you're not a fan of baseball. You're a fan of picking a winner at something.
I guess. I don't know. It's a very interesting way to look at it.
Hey, man.
White Sox are 76 and 140 under Pedro Grifol. That's not good.
Town. That's fun to watch those hitters hit. I had a good time watching them hit.
Yeah, that Gunnar Henderson guy's pretty good, huh?
pretty good.
Goodness gracious.
I understand why the Orioles did not want to trade Colton Cowser. I mean, not only did it hit a home run today, but also ending the game on the robbery in center field is pretty damn good. I understand why they kept him for Dylan Cease.
And they're like, hey, Jackson Holiday, I appreciate you coming up, bro, but you ain't good. Get your ass back down to AAA immediately.
Yeah, because Jorge Mateo is a beast.
That's how wealthy they are in players, where they tell the number one prospects, like, yeah, you had a cup of coffee up here, but that's enough.
Next time you talk to Chris Getz, can you get his thoughts on Jorge Mateo for us? Because, I mean, again, like if they're calling up Westberg, they got who else besides Holiday? I feel like there's one more, too. Kirstead, yes. But I feel like there's one more
Mayo
infielder. Yeah, Kobe Mayo. There you go. He's a third baseman. Yeah. Like, I mean, they're going to have nowhere for these guys to play.
Hell, Joey Ortiz went to Milwaukee.
Right.
He's instantly hitting.
Burns for him.
Yeah, instantly hitting. Like, embarrassment of wealth right there for them. I hope the White Sox are like that, too, with all the hitters they got, well, mostly pitchers they have down in their system.
My favorite thing about the Orioles is Gunnar Henderson's bat helicopters when he gets a walk. He just chucks the bat to his dugout every time he draws a walk. And I must have seen him draw 5 walks over the 3 days I was here because I saw it a lot. And I'm like, wow, he keeps doing that no matter what the situation is. He's not just like, oh, I took a walk this one time and I'm pumped about it. No, every time.
I think they walked him like 6 times or something insane.
And every time, just furious that they walked him.
Literally.
It's like, I can't believe you walked me again, you sons of bitches.
How many times did he walk today? He had 3 on Thursday,
just
2 on
today, I think.
Saturday. Yeah, so they walked him 6 times over a 4-game series.
Yeah, Garrett Crochet was making sweet love to him today. I think he struck out 3 times.
Hey, it's a tough lefty to hit. All right, Vinny, let's get into your column real quick before we wrap this up. Go check that out at allchgo.com. You talk about the trade values of Tommy Pham, Eric Fetty, and Eloy Jimenez. Real quick, let's play Guess That War. We don't have a Guess That War. What is Eric Fetty's career war?
Career?
Baseball reference war.
I think it is 4.
4.
4.
4 solid.
4.
Okay. Real quick to give you some context clues. 2.7 WAR this season with the White Sox. What is Eric Fetty's career WAR?
It's not much more than that because he was real bad with the Nationals.
All right. So Eric Fetty's career WAR, according to Baseball Reference, is 2.4.
Damn it!
So he has a 2.7 WAR with the White Sox and a career WAR of 2.4. So if he did not have this, he would be easily negative. I mean, that's just absolutely insane with how well he's pitched in these 11 games. Who wouldn't want an Eric Fetty? A 2.80 ERA, a guy that has all the need in the world to prove that this is real. And, I mean, we know, especially with last year in Korea, he could throw like 200 innings. So, I mean, Eric Fetty's looking like a real great trade piece.
I'm sure. Like, look at this Baltimore Orioles team. Dean Kramer, I think, just went out with an injury. You just got John Means' injury update where he couldn't throw at AAA. So Baltimore saw explicitly what on Saturday is like, oh, yeah, this guy is shutting us down with, good stuff, but, like, we can use that type of pitcher instead of him going to the Yankees or going to Boston, which is even worse because they have the best pitching staff in baseball. So let's go grab him with all the millions of prospects we got coming back. We won't lose a trade that way. If somebody wants, if we want Eric Fetty, we're going to get Eric Fetty to supplement our team. And imagine him on that team with the offense they have, with Corbin Burns already. You see what you had today from Kyle Bradish and your guy, Grayson Rodriguez, even though he was kind of wild. Fast as fuck, man. He can't even catch up to that dude. So, yeah, I would surely think that his performances versus these Baltimore Orioles looked really good to them. They're like, hey, you know what? With all of our pitching woes, we might have to go to that guy, and he could be our 5th starter, and he'll be dominant.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a whole other year left on him, too, right? I mean, this is the thing we were talking about all offseason with Dylan Cease. Obviously, that was more than that, even 2 years left. But here's a guy who you trade for him at the trade deadline. If you're a playoff contender, you get him not for 1 pennant race, but for 2, and that probably only jacks up what Chris Getz and company would be asking for in that situation. But that makes him pretty valuable to the White Sox in trying to turn some of these guys into something in the minor leagues. I mean, we keep bringing up Robbie Grossman as being the first guy that got traded away from this White Sox team, but he got you something. Don't you think they're going to try the same thing with Paul DeYoung and Chris Flexen and, anybody that they can, Clevenger, Soroka, look around at anybody who's not supposed to be here after this year, and you would think that they would try that with them. Eric Fetty has a whole nother year on the end of that deal. If their mission is to try to trade him this summer, they should get much more than they would for even a guy that's hitting well like Tommy Pham.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you put this in your article, but you'll probably restate it now. Chris Getz' thoughts on Tommy Pham. Not only does it seem like he's out the door because he has the $500K bonus of him being traded. I think that was probably an incentive to get him to sign. Hey, if we trade you, you'll get more money. But Chris Getz pretty much said Tommy Pham will be here for as long as he's here, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, I guess you got to address the obvious, I suppose. Maybe not the most lawyerly answer that Chris has ever given. But yeah, I mean, we all know, right? I mean, they didn't sign him to a minor league deal in April because they were like, ooh, this guy could maybe, this 37-year-old could maybe, be. All right, 36, excuse me. I know I got mad when Sean called me 35, so I'll apologize there. But this 36-year-old is going to be somebody who's part of the next great White Sox team. You know what I mean? Like, they got him to trade him, and it's a bet that has paid off so far. Like, if they were to trade him today, that bet would definitely pay off. Now, he's got to keep hitting for the next couple months to keep people interested. But, we've seen all around this team, those similar bets maybe not paying off, right? We see Michael Soroka in the bullpen, even though he was a trade acquisition. But we see Mike Clevenger not able to even finish 5 innings yet this season. So those were bets that they made. They're low-cost bets for the most part. But maybe the Paul DeYoung bet is one that does pay off because maybe he's still leading the team in home runs come July, and someone just wants a little bit of power off the bench. But maybe the Chris Flexen bet does not pay off because he continues to struggle with consistency. So, I think right now, Tommy Pham, that bet is paying off. And that guy is looking like their most obvious trade candidate right now for a variety of reasons. But chief among them, he's hitting very well. So, teams out there just have to look back to last October to see what Pham is capable of doing for a team that wants to win the world or that wants to go to the World Series. It sure seems like Chris Getz knows what's up and that we all know what's up too. And I'm sure Tommy Pham knows what's up. So it's probably a matter of when more so than it is if at this point.
Yeah, and again, I think the quote from Getz was, while he's here. So it seems at some point Tommy Pham has an expiration date stamped on him before the August 1st date. And what the Mets got for him last year, Jeremy Rodriguez, he's now 18 years old. He's a 6-foot shortstop. In rookie ball, he's currently hitting .339, .422, and .464 with pretty much the same amount of walks as strikeouts. I know that's rookie ball, so again, take it with a grain of salt, but also 7 stolen bases. He's 18 years old. I would 100% trade Tommy Pham for that, and I mentioned this on Twitter, but I'm going to reiterate it here. Even if they don't get a position player side, which I would rather them get a position player, at least for that type of player, the lottery-wise, it'd be very interesting to see what type of lottery piece Brian Bannister would want. Like, what is he looking for in a young 18-year-old, or what is he looking for in one of these, guys that are in the lottery stage? It's going to be interesting to see if he's just looking for straight velocity, control, actual stuff. I think it's going to be an interesting actual part of the White Sox season when they trade Tommy Pham and what type of players they're looking for in a lotto selection.
Well, and not only that, Sean, but you're going to learn before that, right? Because you're going to see the draft during the All-Star break, and you're going to see kind of that same description of what you just did, a young kid where they get to pick the skill set, basically. And, if it truly is an organizational approach, maybe we start seeing that with the pitchers they pile up during the draft, or maybe you see the same kind of pitchers everybody takes all the time, and you're just like, okay, now you, pitching department, turn them into the kind of guys you want to see at the major league level. It's an interesting chicken or the egg kind of thing, right? But you're going to find out, I think, definitely at the draft, more so maybe than you will, if you wait till August 1st to see who they get in any of these trades.
Yeah, and I think if you're going to the lottery, you're probably looking more height, weight, speed, a guy that has velocity on his fastball. As they flash the graphic on the NBC Sports Chicago broadcast of, what if you throw your fastball at 90 to 92, and what's the corresponding splits there. And, of course, Garrett Crochet throws it up 99, 100 plus, and the splits were very promising. The hitters don't hit that guy in particular, and then people who throw that hard specifically. So I would think he'll be looking for more projectable things like that, like you high velocity pitchers. But also you see what Eric Fetty has turned himself into, and he's not necessarily a high velocity pitcher, so he can be looking for more of that type of pitcher. Guy knows how to control the strike zone and get outs, and that's it. because then that's pretty much the name of the game. And I think Brian Bannister talked about that pretty much in his offseason thing with Baseball's Not Boring podcast. He's like, we want guys who can project to get outs, not necessarily strikeouts.
I mean, I understand this guy gets a lot of strikeouts. He had 15 in his last outing. And I know that Vinny's talking about the entire draft and not specifically the 5th overall pick for the first rounder coming up. But, oh, boy, I want Chase Burns.
Oh, my God.
Oh, God, I want Chase Burns so badly. Oh, my God. He throws a 98-mile-per-hour fastball. His stuff plus is a 110 or 111. His cutter's at a plus 114. He had 30 whiffs in 6 innings. God, give me a
If he keeps going like this, you think he'll be available at 5?
Yeah. He's been doing this all season. So,
I know, I'm saying, like, somebody's like, hey, man, we want him at 4.
He's been doing this all season. I don't think there's anything changing about his stuff that it's like, oh, we want him at 4. It seems like the teams above Oakland or at least
Guardians.
Cleveland, the Guardians cannot afford him. I think the White Sox are in that spot. It seems like the pitchers are going to start going at 5 because that's where the hitters start to get iffy because Condon's for sure a top 5 pick. Bazzana's a top 5 pick, and then I think Caglianone's probably a top 5 pick. So then you just need one person to go with a bat there, and maybe even with the first overall pick, you get a high schooler. I don't know if one of these teams go under slot. So yeah, I absolutely think Burns is going to be top 5.
You already done with your guy Braden?
Who?
Braden Montgomery.
I'm fine if that's a position player, but I'm cool with either Braden Montgomery or Chase Burns. Give me the SEC kids. All right. Anything else, Vinny, from the ballpark? I didn't realize we're at hour 10.
Yeah, just real quick. The whole question of what happens to Brian Ramos once Yoan Moncada gets here remains mildly interesting. Pedro Grifol said the other day that Ramos is a third baseman, and he's not really going to play anything else besides third base. He's the third baseman right now. He's going to be when we see Moncada come back, though. That's going to be interesting. What happens? Does Ramos go back to the minors? Does Moncada move to a different position, as was discussed in the winter? We'll see. Obviously, there's no answer to that until Moncada comes back, and that's not expected to be till late July. So sometimes these things can figure themselves out, right? Maybe Ramos will not be hitting very well at that point, and going down will make all the sense in the world. These are all just possible outcomes, but he is a third baseman, so don't try to move Ramos around the diamond, perhaps, if you're trying to play that game.
Let's go. Happy to hear it. Colson Montgomery and Brian Ramos are the future of the left side of the infield, and I'm happy to hear that. All right, that's going to do it. From Guaranteed Rate Field for Vinnie Duber, he's our CHGO White Sox beat writer. Go read his piece up at allchgo.com. Hit that like button. Make sure you're following us at CHGO_White Sox. And again, we're going to be out at Guaranteed Rate Field tomorrow, 1:10 p.m. We have a meetup at 11:30 a.m. over at Turtles on 33rd Street. So make sure that you head to the link in the description or allchgo.com/events to get your tickets today. That's Herb Lawrence, our CHGO White Sox community leader. I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. Hit that like button on your way out. We are off tomorrow as we will be at the ballpark back on Tuesday for a watch along and post game. Goodbye.
We all silly like the mayor.